Hello, this is the second talk in the series of lectures on the central nervous system. I'm recording in nature, so you may hear the wind in the background. It's quite a windy day. And there are some anatomy pictures to go with this talk, which you can find on my website. It is good to download them, then you can see a full-size picture. They don't come out too well on the video. And in this talk we're going to be looking at how the fluid or how the water arrives in the central nervous system. And also through this talk I'll be describing the different areas and how this works and showing the pictures. It's also good to every so often close your eyes and breathe and view inside for yourself, view your internal anatomy for yourself. This brings it to life. This gives it your own reality. So again, here we have the central nervous system, the cerebrum, the lower brain within it, the spinal cord, and then this is surrounded by cranial fluid, and there's ventricles of cranial fluid within it. And all of this fluid is the same. It's mainly water. It's 99% water, glucose, oxygen, minerals. And here we have the cells of the central nervous system. This is a ventricle. It's 99% water, glucose, minerals. And this is all swimming in 99% water, then glucose, oxygen and minerals. And there's a lot of space here. The water, all of this is swimming in water, or the water is flowing through it. So how does this water arrive? How does it get here? Well, it arrives in these capillaries. These are capillaries. They're bringing blood from the heart. There's 400 miles of capillaries in the central nervous system. And the water, the oxygen, the glucose and minerals comes out of these capillaries and spreads through. This is cranial fluid throughout. It's all cranial fluid and it's all the same. So how does this fluid arrive? How does it come out through the capillaries? Well, here we have a capillary, and these are endothelial cells. This is the back, where it's joining together at the back. The nucleus would be round the other side, and these are nucleuses. And these are the gaps between the endothelial cells. This is where they join. And these little blue dots, these are connectors. They connect the cells together. And these connectors are very fine. They're very fine particles. And the width of these particles is the same width that these cells are apart, so they gauge the gap. The width of the particle is the width of the gap between the cells. And as these are very fine, it's a very fine gap, and it's so fine that only water can come through it. Only water comes out through these gaps. No larger particles, no oxygen, no glucose, no minerals. It won't let any pathogens through, won't let any toxins through. Only water comes through these gaps. But lots of water comes through these gaps. It's no obstacle for water to flow through. It will just happily flow out. And there are 400 miles of these capillaries. So that makes for a lot of water. It's like a wellhead or a spring of water coming out from this capillary, or the capillaries through the whole central nervous system. It's the same in the cerebrum, the lower brain, the spinal cord. It's all the same, and the water flows out. It's like a filter. It's a fine gauge filter, 400 miles long, producing water. So we have to look at one of the main principles of the body at this stage, and that principle is that water will travel through any membrane, any cell, any gap, anywhere in the body. Nothing is impervious to water in our body. Water will travel through it. If you have a membrane, water is on this side. All of the solutions through the body are based in water. So if you have a membrane or a cell, water or solution on this side and a solution on that side based in water, and there's more pressure on this side, water gently flow through to the other side. There comes more pressure on this side, water will flow back. More pressure here, it will flow back through the membrane. That doesn't mean to say that it doesn't mean to say that what is in solution in the water will flow through. Sometimes it will do. Depends on what that membrane or cell is designed to do. Sometimes it will all flow through, sometimes parts of it will flow through and not others, and sometimes only the water will flow through. So it depends on the membrane, depends on the cell, but water travels through any membrane. So water will come out through all of these gaps, and it will come out through the sides of the cell as well. So it will come out through the gaps, and it will work its way out through the sides of the cell as well, coming out into this environment around. Will create this very watery environment where the fluid, the cranial fluid, is 99% water. It's a lot of water. It's a much higher content than anywhere else in the body or in the eye. There's a similar quality of water. So how does the glucose, oxygen, minerals come through? Well, excuse me. These cells are selective. They will select things to travel through them, and they will select oxygen, they will select glucose, they will select sodium and different minerals to be carried out through the cell. So the glucose, oxygen, minerals come to the inside edge of the cell, the inside face of the cell wall, and there will be gates and openings, and these will travel through the gates and openings, and they will be provided with carriers like a taxi service. The taxi service, they're only going to let these through. Any other customers turn up, carbon dioxide or toxins or different things turn up, taxi drivers say no thank you, we just want oxygen, glucose, minerals. Those are the only things coming in this cab. And they pick them up and they travel through the intercellular fluid to the cell wall on the other side. And they let them out, they come out through the gates in a water solution, and they spread round, creating this whole environment. So that's how the environment is created. Water will travel out in all directions, and here we have the junction with the connector. It's called a tight junction. Water will just travel through there, nothing else, just the water. Water will travel out, glucose, oxygen, and then you end up with this very refined environment. So it's a 400-mile long, fine gauge, selective filter. And it produces this environment that we don't have, or only in a few other places in the body do we have this environment. One, it's a high percentage of water. We don't have this high percentage in many other places. And two, it's just running on glucose. The food for the cells is glucose, then oxygen, then it has salt. This helps with the electrical charges that travels through the neurons, and different elements. So it produces a very fine environment, and it has all of the oxygen and nutriments that all of the cells need but also the water is active in this. It's not just the environment, it's not just a holder for the nutriments and oxygen. It performs its own task. It is the means that a lot of the communication is happening through. The higher energies find it easier to travel through the water. The earth energies, the energies from the subtle realms, our own light and different qualities and different energies and different streams of energies from within, it flows easily through water. It will flow through solids as well, but water is more refined than solids. So it makes an environment for clear and good communication. So here we have all of the cells in the cranial fluid in the water. Here we have a ventricle in the water with the different nutriments. These cells will live in the water, they will swim in the water. These little cells, they swim around, they're the microglial cells. They're like the immune system. So it's all living in this water. They're eating the oxygen. No, they're not. They're breathing the oxygen. They're eating the glucose. They're absorbing the minerals. And the glucose and oxygen combine together in them and make a chemical reaction that produces energy for that cell, for the workings of that cell. And they become carbon dioxide, and that comes out of them, and different toxins will be released. So the water becomes a carrier for the nutriments, and it also becomes a carrier for the carbon dioxide and the toxins or byproducts to be taken away. And it is a carrier, an environment for all of the communications, the different communications to travel through. Even within the cells, this fluid, this intercellular fluid, which is based in water. Communication is happening again through the solids in it, but also is carried in water and flowing through water. And when you get in contact with this fluid, cranial fluid or water, whichever you wish to call it, it has an intelligence. It feels intelligent. So, in the next seminar, we're going to look at all of these cells and how they work, how they communicate, and the new findings in neuroscience that they've found that actually the vast majority of the communication through this whole system is through the water. I used to think it was through the neurons and the axons, but now they're finding actually it's between the glial cells and all of the cells, and it's being transmitted through the water. So we'll look at how all of these cells work and the new findings in the communication and how that dovetails beautifully with how we look at it spiritually. So, closing your eyes and breathing, just feeling that whole system, the cerebrum, the lower brain, the brain stem, the spinal cord. 400 miles of capillaries. Breathing, releasing water and nutriments and oxygen, making this very refined environment. 99% water. The water is 99% water. The whole of the central nervous system is 85% water. It's very watery, it's very aqueous. And then allowing this water and the energies of the water to travel off down through the nerves, allowing it to ground and relax out into the nerves. And from here it spreads out into the lymph of the body. And the energies travel into the body. So breathe and feel that within. Okay, thank you.